Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Just Law on IQRA TV. Just before the break, we were looking at spouse applications, in particular where you have a sponsor in the United Kingdom who wants to sponsor their husband or wife to come over from abroad to the United Kingdom in order to join them. And we were looking at how the financial requirement can be met, because obviously as our viewers will be aware, there is a financial requirement that needs to be met. The sponsor typically needs to be earning 18,600 per year. And in particular today what we were looking at was the situation where the sponsor in the UK isn't employed. The sponsor is self-employed. So they may be running their own business, and we were looking at the kind of documents that need to be submitted for that. It is a slightly trickier application than a normal application where somebody is employed, which is relatively straightforward. So where somebody is self-employed, it is a slightly more difficult application to make. There are various documents which need to be submitted, and it's important we get that right. And just before the break, I was saying that first thing you need to determine for these documents is that the documents must relate to a particular financial year. That's the starting point. So if somebody is applying now in February 2019, they need to make sure that the documents relate to the last financial year. And the last financial year for somebody who is self-employed as a sole trader or a partner in a business is April 17 to April 18. That's the last financial year. Obviously, the current year hasn't been completed yet, 18 to 19. So we would still be relying on April 17 to April 18. And the documents we need to collate would be documents relating to that period. So just before the break, I looked at a couple of things. Very quickly, I'll run through that. One of the things we looked at was accounts. The accounts which are normally prepared by proper accountants, chartered certified accountants. That's what we would normally have to submit, and then the accountant would normally submit your tax return to HMRC, saying, look, this is what the person is earning, this is the turnover, expenses, profit, etc. So we'll come on to this again after we've taken the next call. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. My name is Istijab Khan and I'm calling regarding my visa application.
जी, okay. Okay.
उर्दू में अगर एक्सप्लेन कर दूं तो
जी कोई बात नहीं है, ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम जी.
अच्छा, ऐसे हुआ है कि मेरे बच्चों को उन्होंने 7 साल पे यहाँ पे लॉन्ग रेजिडेंसी पे एक्सेप्ट किया है, बट दे गिव अस 2.5 year वीजा नाउ.
ओके.
एंड वो जो 2.5 year है उसमें अगर वो खत्म होता है तो सिर्फ 1 month रहता है उनका 10 साल पूरे होने में
जी.
तो उस पे हमें FLRO डालना चाहिए फॉर 1 month और नहीं?
आप जो कहते हैं ना कि एक 1 month रहता है उसके लिए, तो वो यूके में बॉर्न हुए थे वो बच्चे?
नो, दे बोर्न इन पाकिस्तान.
ओके, तो उसका जो 10 years है ना, तो उसको 7 years रेजिडेंस बेसिस पे कब उसको वीज़ा मिली थी, किस साल में मिली वो वीज़ा?
अभी 24th of December लास्ट ईयर.
24th of December. और इससे पहले उसका क्या सिचुएशन था, वीज़ा कुछ था या नहीं था?
या पहले वीजा था, हम प्रॉपर रहे, कोई एक दिन भी वो इलीगल नहीं रहे.
राइट, ओके. इसलिए थोड़ा सा अनयूजुअल है ना आपका सिचुएशन. वो 7 years वाले नॉर्मली सब ओवरस्टे होते हैं ना, मगर आप में नहीं है ना, वो कंटिन्यूअस है.
कोई ओवरस्टे नहीं है ना मेरा, उनका. और एक बेटी मेरी इधर पैदा हुई, उसका 6.5 year उसकी एज है जी. तो अभी मेरे जो है ना अक्टूबर में इस ईयर अक्टूबर में मेरे 10 साल पूरे होने वाले.
तो आपको ये करना ना, सो राइट. तो उसकी जो 2.5 year वाली वीज़ा है वो कब फिनिश होगी?
वो 1921 में.
ओके, सो आप ये कहते हैं कि 1 महीना बाकी होगा, इसके बाद
1 month, या उनके 120 month रहते हैं ना, 1 महीना रहेगा.
1 महीना रहेगा. तो उसको ये करना पड़ेगा. बेस्ट थिंग है ना उसके लिए ये करे कि जो आपका एक्सटेंशन है ना FLRFP, वो राइट रूट है आपके लिए FLRFP. तो इस पे ही आप अप्लाई करें, और जब आपने एप्लीकेशन सबमिट कर दिया FLRFP, तो आपको फिर वेट करना चाहिए कि जब उसका 10 years होने वाला है ना, 10 years less 1 month, सो 10 years less 1 month जो होगा, तो एट दैट स्टेज आप whilst the other application is being processed, آپ اس کا indefinite application submit کر دو.
تو وہ اس کا تو آلریڈی 1 month رہتا ہے, تو اگر ان کا وہ 10 year کا پھر تو ہمیں کرنا ہی چاہیے LFR ڈالنا چاہیے.
I think problem یہ ہے نا کہ بیکاز اس کے پاس ویزا نہیں ہوگا نا.
ویزا تو ہوگا اب ٹل دین ان کے پاس ویزا ہوگا, صرف 1 month رہے گا ان کا. 120 month میں صرف 1 month لیس ہوگا.
اب آپ نا انڈیفینٹ کے لیے اپلائی کر سکتے ہیں 28 days before.
یا
تو کتنا گیپ ہے؟
گیپ میرے خیال سے 28 days کا یا 29 کا اتنا ہے.
29 کا ہوگا تو نہیں کر سکیں گے.
پھر FLRFP ڈال کے اور پھر سوئچ کرنا پڑے گا اپلیکیشن.
ہاں مگر اتنا پرابلم نہیں ہے بیکاز FLRFP کی جو فیس ہوگی نا وہ واپس کر دیں گے.
جی
سو اگر 28 day ہے نا, if the gap is only 28 days تو آپ اپلائی کر سکیں گے 10 years long residence پہ آپ اپلائی کر سکیں گے. اگر 28 days سے even if it's 1 more day تو آپ اپلائی نہیں کر سکیں گے.
اوکے. اور چھوٹی بچی کا کیا ہوگا جب میں 10 year پہ چلا جاؤں گا تو اس کا بھی نیچرلائزیشن کرنا پڑے گا.
آپ کی جو چھوٹی بچی ہے نا تو اس کے کتنے سال ہوں گے یہاں UK میں؟
6.5 year. اور
وہ کہاں بورن ہوئی تھی؟
وہ ادھر لندن میں بورن ہے.
رائٹ. تو اس کے لیے تو پھر آپ کا جیسے آپ کا انڈیفینٹ ہو جائے گا, as soon as آپ کا انڈیفینٹ ہو جائے گا تو بچی کے لیے تو پھر آپ کو سٹیزن شپ کے لیے اپلائی کر سکیں گے آپ ایٹ دیٹ اسٹیج.
اچھا.
سو آپ کو پھر بچی کے لیے ایکسٹینشن لینے کی ضرورت نہیں ہے.
جی.
بچی کو آپ رجسٹر کر سکتے ہیں ایز برٹش.
اچھا.
بیکاز یہاں کا رولز یہ ہے کہ جب دونوں پیرنٹس میں سے ایک پیرنٹ کے پاس جب انڈیفینٹ آ جائے اور جو بچہ ہے وہ UK میں بورن ہوا تھا تو اس کو جیسے بھی پیرنٹس کا انڈیفینٹ مل جاتا ہے بچے کو آپ رجسٹر کر سکتے ہیں ایز برٹش.
اوکے. تو پھر اس کا ویزا اس کا پاسپورٹ اپلائی کرنا پڑے گا یا؟
ہاں پاسپورٹ کی ضرورت ہوگی نا.
اچھا.
پاسپورٹ نہیں ہے آپ کے پاس اس کی یا ہے؟
اس کا تو ہے پاکستانی پاسپورٹ. اس کے پاس 2.5 year کے ویزا اس کو بھی ملے.
ہاں تو آپ یہ کرنا نا کہ جیسے آپ کا انڈیفینٹ جب آپ کو مل جائے گا انڈیفینٹ رائٹ, جب آپ کو انڈیفینٹ مل جائے گا تو اس کی جو پاکستانی پاسپورٹ ہے نا وہ سبمٹ کرنی پڑے گی فار نیشنلٹی.
اوکے.
سو دیٹس دا بیسٹ وے ٹو. اس کی ویزا پھر ایکسٹینڈ کرنے کی ضرورت نہیں ہوگی.
اوکے. تھینک یو ویری مچ.
ٹھیک ہے نا. آلرائٹ ہے. چلو تھینک یو. اوکے سر. So what we were looking at was how somebody is self-employed can meet the financial requirement, and in particular where somebody runs a small business, we looked at how you look at the documents relating to the last financial year. One of the documents to submit is your accounts, your tax return, and then once the tax return is submitted, you normally get a letter from a document from HMRC confirming the amount of tax which is payable. So they're the first three documents: accounts, tax return, the SA302 which confirms how much tax is payable. The next document that you will obtain or can obtain from HMRC is sort of a running balance from previous years as well, which confirms the amount of tax payable, the amount of tax actually paid, and what is outstanding. So there's no requirement to have paid the tax, but there is a requirement that you submit a document which confirms how much tax was payable, how much you have paid, if you have paid it, and how much is now outstanding. So there is a requirement to submit that document. So you've got your accounts, your tax return, the document which confirms the amount of tax payable, and finally the document which confirms how much tax have you paid and what is now outstanding. So what the Home Office is doing is getting sponsors to submit the kind of documents that they would have to submit to HMRC which show an accurate picture of the sponsor's earnings in the United Kingdom. So they're the tax documents. Now, looking outside the HMRC sort of tax document requirements, there are other documents which need to be submitted. And here it's important to note that we're looking at the last complete financial year. So if you're applying now, we're looking at April 17 to April 18. Important to focus on that, because what you need to look at is that you will need to submit, if you have business bank statements, your business bank statements and your personal bank statements. If you don't have a business bank account and you simply operate from your personal bank account, then just simply your personal bank statements. But those documents have to relate to the financial year that we were talking about, the last complete financial year. So if you're applying now, the documents that you would be submitting would be documents for April 2017 to April 2018. So all the bank statements for that period. Now, there's a reason, obviously, why the Home Office wants to look at that. They are obviously historical documents. The Home Office wants to see what's been going on with the business that you claim you are engaged in, and for which you say as a sponsor that you're earning, let's say, £19,000 a year. They want to see whether the bank statements that you are submitting, whether the bank statements corroborate the level of turnover, the level of income that you say that you have. So, for example, the classic example, let's say you have somebody who has a small shop. They say, look, our turnover is £25,000 a year. We pay some expenses and we're left with profits of £19,000 a year. When the Home Office looks at the bank statements, and again, from April to April, when the Home Office looks at the bank statements, what the Home Office wants to look at is that level of turnover that you're declaring in your accounts, £25,000 a year, which is the example we're using. Has that level of money come into your bank account? If somebody's got consistent sort of money coming into the account, somebody who's got a turnover of £25,000, they would have just over £2,000 a year coming into the bank account. Now, let's say that somebody submits an application. They've got all these HMRC documents which confirm that, you know, the person's making £20,000 a year, £25,000 a year. But when you look at their bank statements from April to April, it looks like only a couple of £1,000 has come into the account. You know, there's nothing there which suggests that the level of turnover or profitability is what you're seeing in the accounts that have been produced in, or the tax returns which have been submitted. The Home Office in that situation is likely to be suspicious, and the likelihood is that the Home Office will reject it, even though you will be thinking, look, I've submitted my accounts which have been prepared by my accountant. I've submitted the tax return to the tax office. I've got £2,000-3,000 of tax to pay, and I have paid the tax. I've done everything. You've got the accounts, the tax return, I paid the tax. So what's the problem? Problem is the Home Office doesn't simply look at your accountant's documents and your HMRC documents. They also want those documents to be in line with and sit properly with what is in your bank account, what is going into your bank account. And that's where a lot of applications which are based on a sponsor's self-employed income, that's where a lot of applications are refused. Because on the one hand, you've got the accountant's accounts and HMRC documents which show that the business is very healthy, making a lot of money, and then they submit their bank accounts, bank statements, and that is simply not reflected in the bank statements. The level of income that's coming in to the bank is significantly lower than that which seems to be portrayed in the accounts and the tax return documents. Now, viewers might say, well, look, maybe it's a cash business and it's a small business. We've got that level of turnover, we've got profitability. We simply don't put the money into the bank account. We keep the money to pay for our own day-to-day living expenses. So I don't go to the bank and put the money in. I might have received £2,000-3,000 in sales in a month. I'll only put £500 in. For the rest I keep myself, and I declare it on the accounts and on the tax returns. That may well be the case, but the problem is that if that's the approach you take, the likelihood is that the application will be refused and the case will be then put into an appeal, it will take a year for the judge to look at it and for the judge to decide what it is, whether you meet the requirements or not. So best to avoid that situation and give the Home Office what they want, which is that the level of income that you're declaring on your accounts and on your tax documents, that level of income, let's see it being reflected in your bank account during that financial year. So that's the majority of applications which are rejected on that. Now, as I said at the outset, just before we received the call, that the 12 months bank statements don't necessarily need to be 12 months business bank statements. It may be that if it's a small business, the person simply operates the business using their personal account. For example, let's say it's a taxi driver. He won't have a business account, doesn't need to. He puts the money into his personal account, which is fine, as long as the right amount of money on a monthly basis is being deposited into his or her personal bank account. That's the key point here. Now, in my experience, the vast majority of refusals relate to the bank statements not being reflective of what is being claimed. We'll take our next call and come back to this later. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम
जी भाई जी, thank you for calling. What's your question?
जी मैं एडमरा से बात कर रहा हूँ.
जी, ओके.
सॉरी, मैं टीवी की आवाज़ बंद करता है.
जी, ठीक है.
जी मैं एडमरा से बात कर रहा हूँ. मैंने ये पूछना था कि अभी तक आपने इन्फॉर्मेशन जो दी है मेरे लिए बहुत यूजफुल है, क्योंकि मैं भी टैक्सी ड्राइवर हूँ और सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट हूँ और मेरी इनकम भी इतनी है.
जी.
मगर मेरा प्रॉब्लम कुछ इस तरह है कि मुझे भी नेशनैलिटी 2 महीने तक मैंने अप्लाई कर दी. अभी मेरे पास ILR.
जी, ओके. जी.
और दूसरी बात ये कि मैं अपने पाकिस्तान से किसी स्पाउस वगैरह को तो नहीं बुलाना चाहता. मेरी पूरी फैमिली से सेटल्ड है
जी
मेरे साथ ही.
जी.
मैं वहाँ से अपने इन लॉज में से अपने फादर इन लॉ को बुलाना चाहता हूँ,
जी.
क्योंकि वहाँ पर कुछ नहीं, उनका कुछ नहीं. जितना अभी तक आपने क्राइटेरिया और बैंक स्टेटमेंट्स का और टर्न ओवर जो टैक्स रिटर्न है, मैं उस पर पूरा उतरता हूँ. मेरा इतना ही टैक्स किया है इस साल
जी,
और मैंने जमा भी करवा दिया और टैक्स रिटर्न में मेरी इतनी ही बनती है.
जी जी.
तो क्या किसी को एज ए विजिट बुलाने के लिए ये चीजें इतनी ही मैं फॉल करता हूँ, मेरी बैंक स्टेटमेंट भी फॉल इतनी करती है और मैंने टैक्स भी इतना जमा कराया और मैं टैक्सी ड्राइवर हूँ, क्या इसके बारे में क्या होगा?
तो आप जो विजिट वीज़ा के लिए अप्लाई करेंगे ना आपके इन लॉज के लिए, सो यहाँ से आप तो यू विल एक्ट, आप स्पॉन्सर बनेंगे ना उसके लिए, यू विल